In our third and final example, we've adapted one of OpenAI's most complex examples, again for Wanda's platform, using OpenAI's GPT 3.5 model. We of course see here that we have a Socratic tutor, and we have a Socrates-looking figure already pre-populated for you in a environment, a 360 skybox, that sort of looks like a ancient Greek environment. So now, if we click on our character, go right to our system prompt as before, we'll notice that we have something much longer than what we've encountered in the past, and also a little bit different. So let's skim it really quickly. In the system prompt, we have, "You are a Socratic tutor. Use the following principles in responding to students." Already with this first line, there's something else going on here. We have words like ask thought-provoking, open-ended questions, facilitate open and respectful dialogue, actively listen, guide students, promote critical thinking, demonstrate humility, all these things that are doing something a bit different than what we've done before. We can call this a flipped interaction prompting pattern. Instead of just asking our AI questions and getting lots of responses, we want our AI to quote unquote flip the interaction and ask us questions, ask the user questions, or whatever the audience may be. And so we can do this by clearly stating in the prompt what it is that we want. So let's see this in action. If we scroll down a little bit, we'll see that there's no question that's currently populated here. So let's add one to our Socratic tutor. Tell me about AI. That seems appropriate. And then our Socratic tutor is going to answer. And already we see a lot of text, very, very, very chatty. We can obviously sort of infer that this is going to be a very droning on and on and on type of tutor. And that's not exactly what we want here. So much like before, I want to go back up to my system prompt and I want to add something somewhere. So the first thing is I want to deal with the length. So I'm going to go to the very top here. I'm going to add a little space and I'm going to add something. Ensure your responses do not go over 100 characters, since this should be a friendly conversation, not a lecture. That seems fair enough. So now, as usual, let's delete the Socratic tutor's response and let's refresh or regenerate the user's response, or me. Okay, and this is a little bit different. We see that it's significantly shorter. And we see again that we're getting a follow-up question at the end. That's pretty good. This is better, but still not really a good tutor. So we want someone humorous, someone conversational. And so let's add something else. I want to add right over here as the first principle, be extremely humorous and conversational when discussing complex topics. So again, let's delete the response. And let's just refresh here and see what we're getting. Okay, cool. So I'm getting something here that's saying AI, or artificial intelligence, is like having a super smart robot buddy. Already this is a lot more conversational, less complex than the previous answers. But what if I wanted to add something else? So I'm looking at my system prompt here. I see we have some good principles, and I see students. But whenever we do a flipped interaction pattern in this way, we want to get really specific about who it is our audience is. And so what I want to do now is try to have the AI model focus on a particular audience for our flipped interaction. And in this case, I want to focus on elementary school students. Before I do that, I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to ask our model to repeat back to me, within the context of these AI character settings, which is hidden from the user, what the goals of the discussion are and how it's going to respond. So I'm just going to submit that. I'm going to see what it gives me back. The goals of the discussion are to engage in deep reflection, critical thinking, open dialogue. I will respond by using humor, thought-provoking questions, and so on and so forth. So this is good. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And so I want to add one more thing. And I'm going to sort of like talk to it like I'm coaching it almost. I'm going to say, okay, great. Just reinforce the idea. Don't forget to be humorous and conversational. Then I'm going to add your audience is elementary school students. And now let's submit that. And look, we're continuing the conversation before the user will even talk to our Socratic tutor. Oh, elementary school students, you're in for a treat. Get ready for some hilarious and conversational responses that will make learning a blast. Okay, great. Another way to imagine this is that we have a guest speaker, a Socratic tutor, about to enter our physical classroom, and we're sort of coaching this Socratic tutor right outside the classroom before they come in to speak. So there's one last thing I want to ask our AI model to do before we test it, and I'm going to say start the conversation by asking in an incredibly and lively and excited way. And then let's just give it some text here. What's on your curious minds today? And the reason I want this structured in this way is that whenever a student or a user is going to click on our Socratic tutor, it's going to immediately start the conversation with this. So let's read it really quick. Hey there, my little curious geniuses. Okay, this sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to delete this last message because, again, as soon as we click on the AI avatar, it's going to start with our last exchange message, which is me or the user instructing the model to start the conversation in a certain way. So I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to refresh the conversation.
Hey there, my curious little geniuses. I can practically feel the excitement buzzing in the air. So tell me, what's been tickling your curious minds today? Spill the beans and let's dive into some mind-boggling discussions.
Can you tell me about artificial intelligence?
Ah, artificial intelligence. A fascinating topic indeed. So my young Einsteins, imagine a computer that can think, learn, and make decisions just like humans. That's AI. It's like having a super smart robot buddy who can do all sorts of cool things. But here's a question for you. What do you think are some ways AI can be helpful in our everyday lives? Let those creative gears start turning.
So I really like this response for a couple reasons. So first of all, it referred to us as my young Einsteins, keeping in the theme or the request here that we're elementary school students. Super smart robot buddy to bring the concept down to my childlike sensibilities and understanding of the world. And then a follow-up question, that flipped interaction that we're looking for, right? Getting us, the user, in this case, myself as an elementary school student, to drive the conversation forward, asking for my input. So what do you think are some ways AI can be helpful in our everyday lives? Let's get those creative gears turning. So how might I respond as an elementary school student? I might say, it helps my parents figure out what music to listen to in the car.
Oh, absolutely. AI can be a fantastic DJ for your parents in the car. It can analyze their music preferences, suggest new songs or artists they might like, and create personalized playlists. It's like having a musical genie right at their fingertips. Now here's a brain teaser for you. Can you think of any other ways AI could make our lives more enjoyable or convenient? Let your imagination run wild.
Okay, great. So this is another fantastic response from our AI model. Another really good metaphor or analogy here. It's like having a musical genie at their fingertips. Okay, great. So I'm liking how we have things so far. Just want to go back to our system prompt here and recap what we've done. So the first thing is that we have a pretty complex system prompt here with lots of principles that have been given to our AI agent. We then iterated upon that by asking it to be humorous and conversational, We gave it a character limit and told it to stay within these limits when responding. And then we did something really interesting here. We asked it to repeat back to us, or me, the goals of the discussion. And when we do this, it's sort of like we're giving the AI time to think, to reflect on what it's supposed to do before going to the next step. And the next step for us was to reinforce the idea, to be humorous, and then to give it a particular audience, which in this case was elementary school students. And in many of the responses and through the conversation we've had with the Socratic tutor, we noticed some of the language and the metaphors and the analogies were appropriate for this particular audience. And then lastly, we asked the AI model to start off in a way that we can control. So we asked it to start the conversation by asking in an incredibly lively and excited way, what's on your curious mind today? And so if you've been paying attention since examples 1 and 2 and now on 3, you may have noticed we've combined different techniques together. We're combining here a persona pattern, a flipped interaction pattern, and then the elementary school audience is what we might call an audience pattern. And by using all these together, we got a pretty complex sort of prompt going on here, something that's very nuanced and will be very, very effective in a particular learning environment. And what you can continue to do now is iterate and experiment on this example. You can have Socrates be deathly serious. You can play around with the length of his responses. You can add some more principles to how you want him to respond, or you can remove some. What you can also do is change the audience. Perhaps it's not elementary school students, perhaps it's Shakespeare majors, people who are very, very non-technical, and you may find you get some very surprising and good emergent responses from the AI model by doing something like this. You can even change what the initial state of the conversation will be. There's a lot of different options here. As usual, tinker, experiment, and have fun. Good luck.